Now, Kevin,
Mm,
we have been talking about pivoting from one industry to another, getting access to the hidden job market to be referred to another position. So it means that eventually you have to quit your existing job. So how should I quit in a way that leaves a good impression? Because further down the road, I may need my boss, my peer, subordinate to give me a reference, right? Sometimes new company will do a reference check, and maybe
right.
even you need to do a master MBA. They will ask you to give some testimonials. So how can I quit in a way that is a proper professional way, not burning bridges, basically? So that's my question.
That's a very good question. Uh, Probably a question that people don't ask enough about. And I've seen disastrous stuff happening that permanently scar someone's reputation, in the marketplace. So I think the way I think about this question is that is don't look at the relationship as so different, between you and the boss as you between you and anyone. Um, it's just a simple human relationship between two human beings. And if look right down at the core of what makes the relationship between two human beings harmonic and sweet, if you like, it's some very basic principles that you're respectful to each other, that you're polite to each other, and you focus on the commonalities that both of you have most of the time, right? Rather than differences. And it is the same between you and your parents, or you and your boyfriends or girlfriends, as well as your friends. Why should between you and your colleagues and your boss be any different in the basic principles of human to human relationships, right? So when it comes to quitting, obviously it's your choice, personal choice. Uh, I'm talking about where you choose to quit, not that you get fired, right? Um, so you choose to quit for whatever reason. Maybe some of the reason is because you don't like certain people at work, you don't like the work itself, a whole host of other reasons. But when it comes to relationships, so when you break this news to your boss, primarily, and you write a letter, I would say write a letter that you would like to read as a boss. Because as a boss, I assume a certain position, I assume a certain uh, uh, place in this relationship, and I like to be respected for my position. Whether you think I deserve it or not is something else, okay? But in the overall structure of the business and uh, the organization, I think you should respect the structure itself. Okay. So you're in a business environment, you understand there are certain protocols when you communicate. So at all times, communicate like a professional. This is not at home where you can just be yourself and express your full emotions you know, and not really choosing the words properly. This is a place where you're building your professional reputation all the way from you beginning to work and all the way to you quitting the work that you choose to quit. So just maintain that standard is all I'm asking you to do. I'm not asking you to do anything extra. And by maintaining the standard of being respectful, being polite, I think it would then guide you to behave in a certain way that would secure that outcome. So when you say how not to burn bridges, well, let's look at what are the things that is going to be burning bridges. The things that are going to be burning bridges is when you are not being respectful, not being polite, um, and when you're holding grudges and you're expressing your dissatisfaction or maybe even anger. Okay, at an inappropriate time and in an inappropriate space and in an appropriate way to an inappropriate people. Okay. Let's say at the HR interview, you say, of course you're supposed to tell the truth, but there are different ways of telling the truth. And I ask you to simply refrain from taking and including your emotion in the response and just tell the facts. Okay. Saying that, look, I've been working here for 3 years. I think I've had some good experience here, but it's time for me to move on to get some other experience, which I think I'll be even more interested in. So this is the reason I'm leaving. You don't have to tell the whole world that, oh, I hate this person, I hate that person. She did this and he did that, 2 years ago when they, no, we don't need that. You're just going. There is no need to make a drama about it. Because what if you did? What are you trying to achieve? How would this benefit you when you leave the company? Okay. And you brought up a really good point about, oh, I might need references from people, in the future. That is a very good motivation. But I would say, as a human being, that I assume the person want to be the best version of themselves. I would say, even without the need for references, you should still hold your own principle and your own standard on your own best behavior, regardless of whether you're going to see them or not, or need them or not. Because you're not doing it for them, you're just doing it for you. What are you doing if you do that? How low are you bringing yourself and your own standard down if you exhibit those type of inappropriate, behaviors? And so, I would say, if you are going to quit, you give the letter. The letter should be short and sweet. Thank them for the opportunity. You have now a newer aspiration, and you just want to pursue it. So it's been great while you're having here, and thank you and goodbye. I wish you all the best, right? Should just be that. And, on the day that you leave, have a sweet gesture. Some companies in some places, like, in banks that I used to work, we would, I would buy, some cakes. And then, hey, it's my last day, have a piece of cake. Just want to thank you. And just leave in a sweet way, leave with a sweet note, right? So that people remember you in a positive way. And that includes your boss. What good would that do to you if you're trying to do something nasty to your boss and make him look bad? How is that going to benefit you at all? Except to just maybe feel a little bit, venting off your emotion a little bit, which I think is just an immature behavior at work. I can see why you might want to do it privately to your wife and to your husband and tell them the truth, but that's in your private time, that's in your own time. And so, yeah, I mean, those are the things that I would do. And this is not that I'm a hypocrite, that, oh, you hate this guy and you're still, trying to sweet him up. I don't think I am. I think, understanding the circumstances you're at, the situation you're in, I'm merely trying to do what is appropriate for the situation, without bringing in all of the emotional drama and then calling that my personal principle. There is a time and a space for that. It's just not right here, not right now. That's all.
So would you say writing the letter as in a physical letter, or sending it through email, or what would be the best medium to deliver the message? Is it face-to-face, phone call, or yeah?
Okay, well, I'm a bit old school. So in terms of a resignation letter, it's always something that you can type now, of course, on a word processor, but I would print it. I would physically sign it. I would put it in an envelope to whom it may concern or whatever. And then I would physically hand it in to the person I'm supposed to handing it in to. Okay. So, depends on the company. Maybe you should hand to HR, maybe you should hand to your boss, and then explain your situation, and have that nice short and sweet conversation. And then, if your boss questions you, again, remember what situation you're in. There's no need and no point to vent out all your emotions. Just keep it short, keep it sweet, and just say, hey, I've been happy here. I've learned a lot, and it's time for me to move on. And that's it. There's nothing more complicated than that. He may not believe it. Doesn't matter. He might look at you and say, really? You really don't hate me? I know. So what can he say?
Yeah, and there's also the question about the timing. So what would be ideally a better time to quit? Let's say, obviously, you would not want to quit in the middle of an important project, right? So,
yeah,
in that case, should
that's a
you,
good point.
yeah, should you align the new jobs? Let's say if you promise them you'll be like going to work by then, maybe that's another issue. But let's say you don't have an urgent deadline to quit, then when would be a better time to quit?
Well, that comes into a few consideration, and one of them would be your new employer. When would they allow you to start latest by? So that's not really in your court. I think you could negotiate. But I think, anyone who's hiring people would, probably would want a person to start as soon as possible, within reasons, because there's notice period most of the time, or whatever, however many months. And the way I would look at this situation would be if I'm a critical member of the team and I need to, and I'm involved in the middle of a very critical project, and I do not want my absence to significantly derail the project. How I would offer to my boss would be, look, I'm going to go, and this is going to be my last day, and maybe the last day is going to be basically the official, notice period. But I understand. These are the things that I'm doing, and I think there are things that what I do that are important to the team. And if you like, and if you want to, I don't mind working additional time and additional days on weekends to help try to maximize my contribution while I'm still here, because I do not really want to jeopardize this project just because I'm leaving. So that is my offer, and so if you like, I'm happy to assist, unless you have a better idea. So try to offer something that is outside and beyond your call of duty, so that you are appearing to be accommodative, and then also give the boss, say, look, do you have other alternative that you can suggest, right? Also give him a space to negotiate, because no one likes to be pushed in a corner and say, take it or leave it, because that just sounds a little bit, heavy-handed. It's not necessary. And even if you're in a position to do it and you consider it a payback to him, personally, I wouldn't do it at that time for that reason, because you are potentially going to lose a lot more of your reputation by the way how he described your action after you leave, that you have very little defense against. So I don't think that's worth my while personally, if I were to be confronted with that decision.
And would you also advise, let's say, for certain jobs or roles that involve certain procedures that or certain ways of doing things, would you advise people to, let's say, leave a document for whoever is going to replace yourself afterward, so that you have a better transition of work from your quitting to the new person coming in? So the new person don't have to ask someone else or maybe even call you after you go to a new workplace and how to do those things. Would you suggest that?
Definitely. If it has not been done already, definitely. Because some companies are fairly strict with procedures and policy, and then during the time that you're there, you would have most likely written something, right? But to the extent to which you're going, I think you hit on a very good point. I would just offer it voluntarily to the boss and say, look, I don't know when you can find someone to replace me and how much overlap that I have with this person. In the meantime, I'm just going to prepare some very detailed workflow procedures. And then the minute that I can work with this person, I will spend all of the quality time that I can to make sure this person learn as much as he or she can before I go. And then, if there's any emergency, you can still contact me in private. If I can help, I can, to just tie over the transition period. If you don't mind, then I don't mind. And just, obviously you got to balance. You're no longer the employee of this company, but if a question goes, hey, where did you save those files, and where did you keep these things, and these are just short questions of an administrative nature, I would say, yeah, that's okay. I don't think that would necessarily risk your other employment, but obviously you need to draw a line so that you're not risking that. But yeah, it's a very good point. I would definitely mention that and try to establish that before I go. I think it's a very good way of showing goodwill.
So before we finish, is there any common mistakes that you observe people making, or any missing pieces that we haven't covered, right? If we talk about quitting.
No, I think if you can avoid the emotional engagement and just keep everything factual, keep it businesslike, keep it respectful, and be responsible till the end, be reliable till the end, and end on a sweet note, I don't think I can ask much more of you, in the whole quitting process. And just, yeah, the most important thing is don't bring your own negativity into the process and the communication process itself, so that won't become a drama that is going to unfold of its own. Because most of the time, the company may require you to work the notice period. And after people know that you're quitting, they might look at you differently, they might treat you differently, they talk to you differently. And you just have to, handle it because you've chosen to quit, right? And just maintain your level of professionalism, throughout the period.
Yeah, thanks for that, Kevin.